Good morning, Year 9. Today we're starting the next topic. So you need to start a new page in your book, put a new heading down, and our topic heading is indices. Okay, so we're just going back to our index rules from Year 8, so you can write all of these notes and examples in your book. So just recapping your index rules, you should already know. When you're multiplying things with the same base, keep the base and add the indices. A lot of people forget to keep the base at different times. So if you're doing this question, you're multiplying things with the same base of 2, keep the base of 2 and add the top little numbers together. When you're dividing things with the same base, keep the base and subtract the indices. So if we're doing this question here, they've both got a base of 5 and we're dividing, keep the base of 5, subtract the little numbers. Also with divisions, I will normally get you to write the divisions as a fraction, so we'll get to that in a minute. Number 3 is when you have an index inside and outside a bracket, you keep your base and multiply your indices. So if it looks like this, there's an index inside and outside a bracket, keep the base of x and multiply those indices together. And the fourth one is any base with a 0 index equals 1. So if you have k to the power of 0, it equals 1. So I'm going to go through some examples here. This first question says simplify writing your answer in index notation. Index notation must have a base and an index in your answer. So when we're doing this question here, 10 cubed times 10 squared, keep your base of 10, you're multiplying, so you're adding your indices together, and you get 10 to the power of 5. This next one was 7 to the power of 4 times 7. It didn't have an index on it, so I've put a red 1 there, so it's got an index. So keep your base of 7, add those indices together. And down here, similarly, we have a letter, y, with no index, so I've put a 1 in there. We're going to keep our base of y and add those indices together. Right, down here, so when we get to the harder questions, you are going to do 3 times 2 on your calculator. You'll get 6 when you do that. Then you're going to use your index rules for your little numbers here. So we're multiplying, we're going to keep the base of p and add those little numbers together, and we'll get a little 7 up the top there. Right, this one here doesn't have another number. It's just got a 5, so you don't need to multiply anything on your calculator. You can just write the 5 down. If you really want to, you could write a 1 in here and do 1 times 5 on your calculator, but you don't need to. Alright, now we're going to keep our base of h, and because we're multiplying, we're adding those little numbers together, so we get an 11 up the top. Okay, the next one, when you go to your calculator, you're going to do 5 times 6. That gives you 30. Write your little a down for your base, and just look at the a's. We're going to add the little numbers on top of the a's together. That will give us 16. Then with the t's, same thing. There's no number here, so we are going to write a 1 in. So when you do this one, we're going to add the 1 and the 4 for the t. And you've got a t to the power of 5. Up the top here, we'll do the same again. 8 times 4 on your calculator gives you 32. With your p's, keep your p, add 2 little numbers together and you get a 7. Put your m down, add the 2 little numbers together and you get a 10. Okay, so we're going to do a few more with index notation on these ones. So remember, the answer has to have base and index. So we'll have a look at this first one. We're dividing, so we keep our base and subtract our indices. But remember I said before, I do really want you writing this as a fraction. It makes the harder questions easier to do. So if you write it as 10 to the power of 7 over 10 to the power of 5, we're going to cross out the lower number, the lower index, out altogether. So 10 to the power of 5 is going to be crossed out with your red pen. So if we cross out 5 of them down here, we have to cross out 5 of them up here, which will leave us with 2 left up there. So our answer is 10 squared. And you can just draw the fraction bar underneath it to show it was on the top. So this one here, I'm going to write b to the power of 16 over b to the power of 15. We're going to cross out all the b to the power of 15s. If we cross 15 of those out up here, we're left with one of them. So we've got b to the power of 1 on the top of that fraction, and b to the power of 1 can be written as b. But it does say index notation, so technically that answer there is right. In a test we would give you that as well probably, but let's try and keep it like this. Alright, the next question, we're simplifying. So we're going to write it as a fraction if it's a division. So on your calculator, you're going to put that into your fraction key. So do 10 over 5 in your fraction key. This one gives you a 2. I'm going to write the 2 and just draw a line under it because that's actually on the top of the fraction. Then with the y's, we're going to do the crossing out. Cross out all 3 of those, and 3 up the top will leave us with a 12 up the top. Put it on the top of your fraction. The next question, there's nothing to do with the numbers. The 30 is just going to stay there on the top because there's no other number there. Then we're going to do our crossing out. Cross out 3 of those x's, and 3 up here will leave you with 1. And x to the power of 1, remember, just is x. So we're going to just write that straight away as an x. Okay, the last two, a little bit trickier. So use your calculator fraction key to do that one. 14 over 7 will give you a 2 on the top of your fraction. Then we're going to look at the d's together and the h's together. I know they're not lined up, but you've got to look at the same letters at the same time. So we're going to cross out 2 of these and 2 up the top, and that'll leave you with d squared on the top. Make sure you write it up there. With the h's, we have h to the power of 1 here. So we're going to cross out that 1h and 1 of them up the top, and that will leave you with h to the power of 9 up the top. So when they get to ones as tricky as this, just be careful. My year 8s can do this, so I'm sure you can. Put 12 over 16 in your calculator and it will give you 3/4. So we're going to write it like that, just extend the bar because we're going to put some more things in there in a minute. With the q's, we've got 5 on the top and 14 on the bottom. We're crossing out the lower number, remember. So cross out all 5 of the q's up there. If we cross out 5 down here, we're left with 9. And they're on the bottom. So we're going to write q to the power of 9 on the bottom of the fraction. And with the t's, we have t to the power of 3 and t to the power of 4. Cross out the lower number and cross out 3 of them up the top. We're left with 1 up the top, t to the power of 1, which you can just write down without that 1 now. And that's your answer. We'll come back in the next video and do a few of the harder questions again.